There are moments in life when the noise becomes unbearable, when it feels like the walls are closing in, when every breath tastes of panic, when time slows just enough for your thoughts to run wild and scream louder than the world itself. It's that instant when everything you built, your plans, your peace, your sense of control collapses in front of you. A phone call, a betrayal, a diagnosis, a silence that shouldn't have lasted that long. You can almost feel the sound of your own heartbeat echoing in your skull. Your chest tightens. You try to breathe, but each inhale feels like an act of rebellion against the storm inside you. It's not just fear, it's disbelief. How did everything fall apart so quickly? You stare at your own hands, as if they should have held things together. You replay moments in your mind, things you could have said, should have done. You look for meaning in the ashes, but all you see is smoke. Life has a cruel way of testing calm when it matters most, when the ground splits beneath you, when everything you trusted turns fluid and uncertain. Calm feels like a foreign language, and yet something in you knows that panic won't help, that screaming at fate won't make it rewind, that the only way forward is through stillness. But how do you stay calm when the life you knew is burning? How do you breathe when the air itself feels heavy? How do you hold yourself together when the world seems determined to pull you apart? There was a man I once knew. He lost everything in a single day. His company collapsed, his wife left, his father died, and yet, when you spoke to him, his voice was steady. He didn't pretend not to hurt. He just refused to drown. When I asked him how, he said quietly, "Because I realized I'm not the storm." That sentence never left me. We live our lives believing we must control everything. Outcomes, people, time, love, luck. But control is an illusion. Calm, on the other hand, is a choice. And the people who survive the collapse are the ones who learn to separate the two. We all have our version of that day, a moment when life doesn't just test us, it unmakes us. The loss of someone we love, the rejection we never saw coming, the future that suddenly vanishes like smoke in the wind. You know, the feeling, that tightening in your throat when your mind whispers, "This can't be happening." You bargain with reality, hoping it will give you back what it just took, but the world stays silent. You try to fix it. You call everyone. You replay every message. You overthink every detail. You stay awake at 3 a.m., scrolling through memories that used to feel warm, but now just ache. You think that if you can understand it, you can control it. But pain doesn't listen to logic. It lingers because we feed it. We do what all humans do when life falls apart. We cling. We fight against what already happened. We refuse to let go of what no longer exists. It's not madness. It's survival. The mind doesn't know how to rest in chaos. It tries to build meaning, even out of destruction. When things break, your instinct is to move faster, to do something, anything, that gives you back a sense of direction. But the harder you fight against the storm, the deeper it pulls you in like quicksand. The struggle becomes the trap, and that's where most people live for months, even years, inside that invisible loop of reaction. Every thought a defense, every emotion a protest, every action an attempt to escape. But peace is not found through escape. Peace is found through endurance, through understanding that what feels like falling might actually be the ground being cleared for what's next. Think about the forest. After a wildfire, the land is blackened, silent, stripped bare, but beneath the ash, life is preparing its quiet comeback. Seeds that could never sprout under the shade now reach for light. The destruction becomes the beginning. Nature doesn't panic when it burns, it renews. But We forget we are nature too. We are not separate from the cycles of creation and collapse. We expect life to be linear, to move forward, up, and always in control. But life moves in spirals. It circles back, destroys, rebuilds, and repeats. So when life falls apart, the first illusion to die is certainty, and in its place, something else begins. Raw awareness, that quiet recognition that nothing outside of you was ever truly yours to keep. And maybe that's not a punishment. Maybe that's freedom. When you lose everything, you discover what was never lost. Your ability to breathe, to think, to start again, to stand in silence, and still exist. But most people never get there because the fear of silence is greater than the pain of chaos. They fill the void with noise, distractions, scrolling, arguments, addictions, anything but stillness. Stillness is terrifying when you've built your worth around motion, but stillness is where calm begins. Calm doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you stop resisting it. You stop demanding that life be something other than what it is right now. You stop thinking that control equals safety, and you start learning that surrender equals strength. But surrender isn't passive. It's not giving up. It's choosing to trust something bigger than your plan. That's why staying calm when life falls apart is not about pretending you're fine. It's about acknowledging you're not, and standing tall anyway. It's about sitting in the ashes without panic, saying, I may not understand why this happened, but I'll learn who I am through it. When you understand that, something inside you shifts. You stop being the victim of what fell apart. You become the witness of what's being rebuilt. And that brings us to the turning point, because the truth that changes everything is simple but brutal. The world doesn't fall apart to punish you. It falls apart to wake you up. It collapses the illusions you built so you can see what's real. It removes what you were holding so tightly, so your hands are free to grasp what truly matters. Sometimes peace requires destruction. Sometimes the most merciful thing life can do is break what no longer serves you. There's a moment in every breakdown when you stop asking, why me? And start whispering, what now? That's the beginning of growth. That's when calm stops being an ideal and becomes an instinct. When you stop seeing chaos as the enemy and start seeing it as the teacher, you become unshakable. You no longer need the world to be perfect to be at peace. You simply learn to be peaceful in an imperfect world, because calm isn't something you find. It's something you practice. It's a discipline, like strength. It's the muscle of stillness that grows each time you refuse to panic. And when you build that muscle, storms stop scaring you. You begin to understand. If I can stay calm when everything collapses, then maybe I've already won. To stay calm when life falls apart is to stand in the middle of the storm, and instead of saying, I can't handle this, you whisper, I was built for this. Because you were. You've survived things that once convinced you you'd never smile again. And here you are, still breathing. That's calm. That's strength, disguised as grace. When the storm comes again, and it will, remember this, you are not what's breaking. You are what remains. When life falls apart, calm becomes your rebellion. It's the quiet decision to meet chaos with composure, to meet fear with stillness, to meet endings with presence. But calm is not born in comfort. It's forged in moments that test every part of you. So let's walk through what it means to build calm, piece by piece, to understand how it's not something that happens, but something you become. Lesson 1. The pause. Before the reaction, between every event and your response, there's a fraction of a second. It's invisible, but it's the most powerful space in the world. That pause is where calm lives. It's where freedom lives. Most people never see it. They react before they breathe. Someone insults them. They snap. A plan fails. They panic. They confuse reaction with control. But calm people, truly calm people, they slow down that moment. They feel the heat rise in their chest, and they wait. They breathe. They let the storm pass through before they decide how to move. Think of Kobe Bryant standing at the free throw line with seconds left on the clock. 20,000 people screaming, every camera watching, pressure so thick it could crush most minds. And yet his breathing barely changes, because he trained himself not just in skill, but in stillness, in that silence between the noise and the action. He once said, if you focus on the noise, you miss the basket. That's life. If you focus on the chaos, you miss your shot. Calm begins with the pause. It's the art of not reacting immediately, of recognizing that just because the world shouts doesn't mean you must answer. So the next time something breaks, before you scream, before you text, before you spiral, pause. Even for 3 seconds. Let those seconds be sacred. They'll remind you that you still have power. Lesson 2. The breath that anchors the mind. The breath is the oldest technology of survival. When everything else slips out of control, your breath is still yours. It's strange how we forget that. When life gets heavy, we hold our breath, as if suffocating ourselves somehow helps us feel safe. But the body doesn't lie. When you breathe shallowly, the brain reads danger. When you breathe deeply, the brain reads safety. It's not magic. It's biology. Try this. The next time your thoughts begin to race, stop and inhale deeply. Not the kind of breath you take when you're rushing, but one that reaches the base of your lungs. Hold it, then exhale slowly, as if releasing the need to control the outcome. That breath tells your nervous system, I am not under threat. It lowers your pulse. It grounds you in the present moment, the only place calm can exist. Even the greatest minds rely on it. The Navy SEALs use it. They call it box breathing. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold. 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold. It's simple, but in the middle of war, it keeps them human, because no matter how bad things get, as long as you can breathe, you can begin again. Lesson 3. The perspective shift. Calm isn't the denial of pain. It's the understanding that pain has meaning. That chaos is information, not punishment. Most people experience pain and immediately translate it into catastrophe. This shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening to me? But perspective asks a different question. What is this moment trying to teach me? Serena Williams once said, I've never lost a match. I just ran out of time to win. That's perspective. She didn't rewrite reality. She reframed it. She took defeat and made it part of her process. When life falls apart, calm is found not by changing the event, but by changing the story you tell yourself about it. Your mind is a narrator that loves drama. It exaggerates pain. It loops the worst scenes. But you are the director. You can rewrite the scene. Try saying, maybe this fall is not the end of me. Maybe it's the part of me that grows roots. Say it enough times, and the body begins to believe it. Perspective is what turns chaos into clarity. Without it, every wave looks like the end. With it, every wave becomes a lesson in balance. Lesson 4. The practice of letting go. Letting go is one of the hardest arts of being alive, because it requires trust. Trust that what's gone needed to go. Trust that life isn't done with you yet. Trust that peace doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from opening your hands. When we lose something, a person, a dream, a version of ourselves, we grieve not just what was, but who we were in it. That's why it hurts so deeply. We're not just losing the thing, we're losing the identity that came with it. But letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to carry memory without carrying the weight. It means saying, "Thank you for what you gave me," and then stepping forward without bitterness. Think of a bird sitting on a branch. It's calm not because it trusts the branch, but because it trusts its wings. When life falls apart, the branch breaks, but your wings are still there. You may have forgotten how to use them, but calm helps you remember. Calm is not something you get, it's something you return to. It's always been inside you, buried under noise, fear, and resistance. Every breath, every pause, every small act of surrender is a way of coming home to that place. But no journey stays smooth forever, because once you find calm, life will test it. Every lesson you learn will be challenged by something unexpected. That's how the world ensures you don't just know peace, you embody it. And that brings us to the test. Imagine this. You've been doing better, you've been calmer, you've been breathing through storms, thinking clearly, and then something happens again. Another loss, another betrayal, another uncertainty, and suddenly you're back in the chaos. You thought you escaped, your mind screams, "Not again." Your body tightens, and you feel like you failed. But you haven't failed. This is the storm coming back, not to destroy you, but to show you how far you've come. Calm is not a permanent state. It's a practice that deepens through storms. So when you find yourself breaking again, remember this. You are not starting over. You're starting deeper. You've built muscles you can't see. You've built patience in your bones. You've built stillness in your breath. And now you're being asked to use it. There will be nights when calm feels impossible, when the mind runs like a wild horse through every fear and memory, when you forget every word you've ever heard about peace. That's okay. You're human. Calm isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Even monks, after decades of silence, lose their temper sometimes. Even masters stumble. What makes them different is how quickly they return to themselves. So when you fall, don't punish yourself for feeling pain. Just return. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to that quiet space inside that says, no matter what happens, I am still here. And in that moment, when the world tries to shake you, you'll feel something remarkable. You'll feel the strength of stillness, that deep-rooted calm that doesn't depend on outcomes. It's not denial. It's mastery, because you've stopped reacting to the world and started responding from your center. When everything outside of you crumbles, it's the perfect invitation to meet who you are without your masks, without the job, the titles, the relationships, the certainty. Just you, raw, real, breathing. That's the birthplace of calm. It's the moment you realize you've lost nothing essential. Everything you truly are cannot be taken away. Your peace doesn't depend on your circumstances. It depends on your perception. The storm doesn't create your fear. It reveals it. And in revealing it, it gives you a chance to transform it. Sometimes life will strip you bare, just to show you what you never needed. And what remains after that, that's peace. That's clarity. That's the quiet victory. You see, calm doesn't shout. It whispers. It lives in the pauses between heartbeats. It lives in the deep exhale after the tears. It lives in the small, defiant act of saying, I will not let this break me. That's strength, not the kind that flexes, the kind that sits still while the world burns, knowing the fire will pass and what's meant for you will remain. You don't have to fix your life overnight. You don't have to know what comes next. You just have to stay calm enough to see clearly, because clarity builds direction, and direction rebuilds life. When you can sit in the middle of uncertainty without rushing, you've already mastered something. Most people never will. You've mastered yourself. You are not defined by what fell apart. You are defined by how gracefully you stand in the ruins, and one day you'll look back and realize that collapse you feared so much was the foundation of your new beginning. Everything that broke you was only clearing the path for who you were meant to become. You thought life was ending, but it was only changing its shape. Calm isn't found at the top of the mountain. It's built one breath at a time, as you climb with trembling hands and an unshakable heart. And when you finally reach the summit, you'll understand that the peace you were searching for wasn't in the view, it was in the climb itself. So, if you're listening to this right now and your world feels like it's falling apart, listen closely. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are simply becoming who you were meant to be, without the noise that used to define you. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Let life rearrange itself around your silence, because chaos cannot consume a mind that refuses to feed it. And when you rise tomorrow, because you will, don't rush to rebuild the life you had. Rebuild the life that's true, simpler, stronger, calmer. The world will keep spinning. Storms will return, but each time they do, you'll meet them differently. Not with panic, but with poise. Not with fear, but with understanding. Not with reaction, but with grace. Because you've learned the quiet truth that few ever do. You don't control life. You guide yourself through it. And calm is the compass. When life falls apart, remember, you are not the storm. You are the sky. The storm will pass, but you remain. Breathe and begin again.